Let's start with the part 1. And in this part, 750 words will be practiced. This story involves around two fathers and two philosophies. Imagine growing up with two mentors giving up you opposite advice about money. This was Robert Kiyosaki's reality, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. His biological father, Poor Dad, was a highly educated teacher who believed in traditional success, which means study hard, get a secure job, and save money. Meanwhile, his best friend's father, Rich Dad, a self made entrepreneur, preached learn how money works and make it work for you. These conflicting worldviews forced young Robert to make a choice, one that would ultimately shape his financial future. Let's start with first chapter, which is the broken promise of traditional education. Poor Dad followed society's rule book, which is earned a PhD, climbed the corporate ladder, and lived paycheck to paycheck. Despite his intelligence, he struggled with debt and believed discussing money was rude. Rich Dad, with only an 8th grade education, owned multiple businesses, invested in real estate, and retired early. His secret, which is the main question, financial literacy, a subject never taught in schools. The harsh truth about the rat race. Rich Dad drew a simple diagram that changed Robert's life. Employee, which is wakes up, work for money, pay bills, and sleeps. Wealthy, wakes up, use money to acquire assets, asset generates income, and at the end buys luxurious items. Most people are stuck in the first cycle, mistaking high income for wealth. As Rich Dad warned, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. He made the difference between assets and liabilities, which is the millionaire's mindset. Rich Dad's most crucial lesson was that asset, which means puts money in your pocket, rental properties like stocks and businesses, which on the other hand liability is the thing that takes money out like mortgages and debts. For example, middle class choice is to buy a luxury car, depreciating liability. On the other hand, rich choice is to buy a duplex, rent one unit, which goes to pay rent. The rich buy assets, the poor buy expenses they think are assets. Why schools create employees, not entrepreneurs? Traditional education prepares you to follow instructions, specialize in one skill, work for someone else's dreams. Rich Dad taught Robert to think critically about money, develop multiple income streams, see problems as business opportunities. The fear that keeps you poor, which is our next chapter to be discussed. When Robert asks, what if I lose money investing? Rich Dad replied, the poor avoid all risks, the rich manage them. Every failure teaches you how to win. He had young Robert practice by tracking every expense for 30 days. Starting small, which is selling used comics, reinventing profits into bigger ventures. This hands on training built robust financial courage, something no textbook could provide. View your homework before part 2. Let's dive into it. Audit your spending, which means how much goes to liabilities versus asset. Reframe I can't afford it to how can I afford it? Identify one skill that could generate side income. Let's dive into the part 2, which is breaking free and with how to build rich incomes, escaping the paycheck prison. Rich dad students weren't always allowed to say I work for money. Instead, they practiced how can money work for me. Case study involves that two friends earn around 5,000 per month. Friend A, who used to spend around 4,500 on lifestyle, saves 4,000 on lifestyle income. Friend B lives on the 35,000 on investment, and on the other hand 500 and 1,000 on his lifestyle. What is the difference that we can get from these spendings? Is that the step wealth blueprint. Earn, start anywhere. Even a side hustle can bring you big wealth. Save, which means pay yourself first, then start doing other things. Invest in your assets you understand. Repeat, let compound interest work like a money, which means a snowball. How the rich really think. This is the main thing you should need to learn. Rich dad's counterintuitive rule, which means don't diversify. Focus on mastering one investment type skill. Debt is not evil. Good debt, which means like mortgages on rental properties, build wealth. Taxes are optional. The rich use LLCs, deductions, and loopholes the poor ignore. Emotional mastery is equal to financial freedom. Robert nearly quit after losing 3,000 in his first business. Rich Dad's response was losers quit after failure. Winners study why they failed, then try smarter. Let's move to the three mental shifts that can help you study a lot. First is fear to action. Start small to build confidence. Then is to greed to strategy. Invest profits instead of upgrading your income. Doubt to curiosity. How can I turn this problem into a solution? The invisible wealth builders. Rich dad students practice spotting opportunities everywhere which can bring them money. At a laundromat, could I franchise this or not? Reading news. How will this law create new business needs? In complaints, what frustration could I solve for profits? Why giving makes you richer? It's because Robert was shocked when Rich Dad donated 10% of his income despite being greedy. The lesson is that generosity opens doors money can't buy. For examples, a free financial workshop leads to a paid consulting gig. Mentoring someone connects you to their network. Your 30-day challenge is the next thing that you need to understand. First is read The Millionaire Next Door or The Simple Path to Wealth. Use free time to learn a high income skill like copywriting, coding. In a stock index fund or micro business, invest around $50 just to start a rook. Next is the final wake up call, which is the our last chapter will be. Is this Rich Dad's last question to Robert was, if you stop working today, how could you survive? And for most, the answer is 3 months. Proof they are employees, not wealth builders. Your turn to choose is that follow poor dad's advice and retire at 65 with limited savings, or apply rich dad's lesson and retire early with assets funding your dreams. As Robert proved, your financial future isn't about luck or salary. It's about the courage to think differently. Which rich dad lesson will you apply first? Please mention in comments. Thank you for joining me. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Keep practicing, stay curious, and I will see you next time.